Authorities in Philadelphia are announcing charges against two police officers following a grand jury investigation. They're accused of beating an innocent man. We're going to listen in now on DA Seth Williams.
They saw him lose control of his scooter and fall to the pavement. When they tried to apprehend him, he grabbed one of the officers, threw him into a brick wall, repeatedly elbowed the officer in the face, and tried to slam the officer's head into the wall. That was their story. In order to subdue the suspect, the other officer had to use his baton on Rivera's body. And when Rivera tried to grab the baton, he was hit in the face. Based on this information from the officers, Rivera was charged with resisting arrest and aggravated assault against the police officers. But before the case got to court, a new piece of evidence emerged. A video from a nearby store. The video undermined every aspect of the officer's account of the incident. As the grand jury found, none of it was true, except for the blows inflicted on Najee Rivera. In reality, Rivera didn't just fall off his scooter as the officers approached in their patrol car. Instead, one of them actually reached out of the window and clubbed Rivera in the head. The car bumped the scooter and Rivera fell to the ground. Both officers then got out and immediately placed Rivera in their control. He never resisted. He never struck them. He never fought back. They just started hitting him. First, one held him against the wall while the other beat him with a baton. Then they held him on the ground and beat him some more with both fists and baton. There's no doubt that the blows were connecting because the video also had audio. And you can hear Mr. Rivera from the time he fell off his scooter, writhing in pain, screaming for help. After the beating, the officers handcuffed Rivera, who was still on the ground, and for several minutes they kept him there while he was bleeding, and they were standing on him with foot on back. Information provided to the grand jury by another officer that arrived at the scene had thought that Mr. Rivera had been shot since there was so much blood on the ground. Hospital records show that in addition to extensive lacerations, the beating fractured Rivera's orbital bone. Staples were required to close the wounds. Here's a photo of what he looked like. In light of the new evidence explaining Rivera's injuries, the charges against him were dropped by my office, and the investigation turned to his accusers. Rivera was not immediately able to testify, as we were advised. He was still recovering from the trauma of the attack. Once he became available, all the evidence was presented to the grand jury, and a presentment was returned. The charges against the officers arise from the beating itself and from the numerous false reports that both officers made in violation of their duty and the law. 2 weeks ago, in this very office, I hosted a meeting of elected district attorneys from around the United States that, like myself, were all African American. We met in light of the national discussion regarding the use of grand juries and prosecutors handling the investigation of the excessive use of force by police. The consensus was that it is our responsibility not only to work with police day in and day out, but also to hold them accountable on those particular occasions when an officer does wrong. We are not elected.
You've been listening to District Attorney Seth Williams reading a number of charges against two police officers for beating an innocent man. NBC 10's Christine Medell is at the news conference, and she is working to bring us more information with this information in the newscast coming up in just a few minutes.